Okay, so here we have. First of all, let's introduce yourself. Can I have you introduce yourself and why you're here?
My name is Hector Gomez. I'm here to talk about the 1994 Northridge earthquake.
Wow. Okay, so I'm Mr. Nunez, and I invited you because Isabella, your daughter, happened to mention it in class one time. And I bring up Northridge and show them videos and earthquake, but that's nothing compared to actually being there, right? And I'm sure you've seen other videos, and I mean, I don't know if it brings back, those memories. But how old were you when that actually happened?
I was going to turn 12, so I was 11 at the time.
Whoa! So
11 years
not
old.
even a teenager yet.
No, not even a teenager.
Not even a teenager. And how many in your family at that time?
It was my two brothers and my two sisters and myself. So that was 2, 4, 5 of us.
5 of you guys.
Mhm.
And you were at what point? Were you the oldest, youngest? And
I'm right in the middle.
oh, right
as
in
we
the
speak
middle.
right now. At the time, I was the third youngest.
The third youngest.
At the time,
Oh man. Okay, so it's what 4 in the morning. My understanding it.
right. It was 4 in the morning. We all went to sleep like a regular Sunday night.
Uh huh.
And right around 4 something, I recall waking up with all this shaking going on. And next thing I know, things are falling off
Mm-hmm.
because we have this big drawer. And all these things were falling off to the ground, and there's no light. It's really dark, and we're all screaming, don't have any idea what's going on.
Uh huh.
All I could think was like, what's going on? And I thought I was dreaming for a minute.
Right, because you're waking up at 4 in the morning. It feels like a dream, right? And
all
it's
we hear
dark.
and we hear a lot of like sound effects, like cracking.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's from the wood just cracking between the walls.
Uh huh. And being it was, what kind of house was it that you guys were living
It was an apartment. It was
Okay.
a 2-bedroom apartment. So my dad works night shift, so my mom was in her bedroom with my two sisters,
Uh huh.
and me and my two brothers were in the other bedroom.
Oh man, that's tough. So your dad wasn't even there.
Right, my dad wasn't even home at the time.
So he went through it differently wherever he was at.
Right,
So was he at work when that happened?
he's a truck driver.
Oh.
So he was driving, so he didn't really feel anything.
Right. So-
He was somewhere in Glendale.
Somewhere in Glendale. So he, oh man, but okay. He sort of was going through the stress of like
Mhm.
worrying about you guys, I'm sure, afterwards,
Yes.
right? So we have a picture here. I don't know if you could see that. So that's a 2-story apartment
Mhm.
complex. Was yours 2-story by any chance?
Yes, it was.
It was.
Mhm.
You were in the top or the bottom?
Bottom.
Bottom. So afterwards, I'm pretty sure neighbors, you guys talked about it. And they always say the top is the worst. Or you know what? I'm sorry. It's got to be. There's no better way to feel an earthquake, right?
No,
No.
being bottom or top, I think it's the same movement.
It's the same movement, right?
Mhm.
And the stress of like not knowing what's happening, right?
Right at that age, I had no idea.
You
what was
had
going
no
on.
idea.
There was
Okay.
only like crying and screaming all over the apartment building.
Whoa, from all the neighbors.
That apartment building where we lived, there was a pool,
Uh huh.
and so the apartments was like 2 stairs to go inside each unit.
Uh huh.
So when it was time to kind of evacuate, we couldn't see anything, so we're walking barefoot in our pajamas, trying to grab a blanket or two that we could. As we stepped down the 2 stairs, all we could feel like a foot of water from the
Foot of
pool that
water.
actually came out of the pool.
Uh huh.
So that was kind of like we were like in shock because we didn't know where we were stepping. It was really dark.
Uh huh.
So our whole feet were wet, walking, trying to exit the building,
Uh huh.
and everyone screaming this way, that way. Where's everyone?
Mm.
I had my little sister was 17 days old.
And who was carrying? Who carried her?
My mom was carrying her, and I was telling Isabella, she forgot to mention that the ceiling of my mom's bedroom kind of collapsed at halfway.
Uh huh.
I guess another little bit harder of an earthquake, the whole ceiling of my mom's bedroom would have collapsed on top of
On
her
top of
and
her.
my little baby sister.
Oh, that's incredible. Wow.
Half of the apartment on the north side actually collapsed on top of the cars. On
Right.
our side, which was the west, it didn't, just major damage.
Right.
That was frightening.
Yeah, we've seen videos of like actually pictures of cars that were crushed by the second floor.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so it was like a parking area where they could
Right.
actually park their cars in there. Yeah, amazing videos. And that one happened to be a 6.9, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So not even a 7.
Right.
And my understanding of the 7s, that's even wilder. I wouldn't even know. don't think I know anyone that's been through a 7. Um, so yeah, as far as the recovery. So you guys, my understanding, obviously you couldn't go back into your homes other than just to maybe go get, um, what is it, sleeping.
Well, no one was prepared for it. To be honest with you, nowadays, there's always an evacuation put in place for each apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
We hear about earthquakes all over the news. Schools work on this very. My job, we have a evacuation. So basically, we went outside on the street. Windows shattered everywhere down the street. So we were just right in the middle of the street, like at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and everyone just in shock. A lot of kids crying, parents trying to get people out that were trapped inside their bedrooms because back then you had those big TVs, those
Yeah.
big monitors, so they all came down on the floor. So you had to go through your refrigerator, through TVs,
Whoa.
through all that stuff, just to kind of like make your way out. So there's a lot of people that were still missing from our building and a few buildings down the street. So I could just remember just sitting on the street, just with my brothers and sisters, just waiting for help. My dad wasn't there, so finally he arrived like an hour later.
Oh, did he?
He did. He was able to drive back home somehow, and the sun came out, and we were just looking all around, like in shock, like what just happened. I mean, for me, it was like I was in shock, like I was speechless. I look back, I'm like, wow, that was terrifying.
Right. So the other thing about this one, we have a picture of the freeways.
Mhm.
So do you remember seeing that? Like that's a collapsed. I don't know if that's the 10 or maybe the 18.
It's 118 going towards the 210.
Uh-huh.
I lived in San Fernando half my life, so that freeway that collapsed was maybe 2 miles from the house that we lived in the late 80s. I'm very aware of that freeway. I actually drive through that freeway on Wednesdays coming home. I take the 118 and the 210 to Pasadena sometimes, and I've gone through that freeway, so I know exactly where it is.
Yeah, I remember the recovery trying to. Well, I don't know. They took quite a bit. No, I don't think they took that long. I just remember they were just trying to fix that 10 freeway and all the other ones that got damaged.
Yeah, it was a
So the
210.
recovery they did. I think they did a great job of getting things up and running.
Mhm.
So my concern is, like, for example, when we have, like, for example, your dad that was a truck driver. Had he been on one of these freeways,
Oh, absolutely.
it would have been a lot harder for him to get back.
He takes the 118 then the 5, so he would have missed that freeway by 3 miles.
By 3 miles.
But if for some reason he would have happened to taken the 210 towards Pasadena and then the 2 to Glendale, he missed it by an hour because I remember at the time he would leave the valley like around 3. So he must have just passed that intersection late, like around 3:50, maybe 4 o'clock.
And you can imagine how many other people were stuck, who couldn't get back to their homes, to their families. Because I imagine a lot of people have jobs that take them, all different hours of the day to different parts of the city. So yeah, that's the other concern, is trying to make sure that our streets and freeways are safe. Now, as far as 11 years old, you had to stay obviously in the city because what was your recovery or your living situation right after that?
So for the next 5 days, we had to sleep on my dad had a pickup truck, so we slept on the bed of his truck, some of us. So some of the older men, including my father, went inside the building and tried to get the mattresses out, just the mattress itself, to just kind of like put them on the side of the street or right in the middle of the street because it was still shaking. I don't know if you recall, it was still
The aftershocks.
like for the next weeks.
Yeah.
And so we stayed on the street for about 5 days trying to figure out where to go because my other family that lived around our neighborhood also, their apartments were damaged. So we actually just stayed on the street and tried to keep busy, and people were trying to go inside the building, trying to retrieve whatever documents, paperwork they could. Um, and of course, there was always the fear that it could actually another earthquake hit while they were inside. But most important, they're just trying to get documents because back then there wasn't a whole lot of you know what do you call like chips to save
Yeah,
data, save
yeah.
information, pictures. Like there was no iPhones to
Yeah,
snap a
everything was
picture. Everything
yeah
was still
hard copies.
everything was still on paper. So our birth certificates, all that information was still in the apartment. So after a week, my dad decided to reach out to my uncle who lived in Agora Hills,
Mm-hmm.
which is a ranch, and he asked for help if we could actually go live with him and stay with him for a period of time till the valley recovered from this earthquake. And we stayed about a few months
Mm-hmm.
in Agora. We missed school all that time.
Mm-hmm.
Once we got to Agora, for us it was fun. We were kids, it was a
Mhm.
ranch, so
Nice.
we started like hiking and just having fun at the ranch, trying to forget about what just had happened, in the valley.
All right. So now, you mentioned like trying to get, let's say, for example, something to cover yourself up, because it was cold. You guys probably had to have shoes, food. Okay, so I'm assuming electricity was out, refrigerators are thrown about. So in terms of like how do you feed yourself afterwards?
Um, so people got creative. We used to barbecue a lot. So my dad happened to have his barbecue in hand, so he got it out, and then there was food in the refrigerator, so they were trying to retrieve anything they could get from the apartment, like especially cereal,
Mm-hmm.
anything that was canned food that we had at the time. And for the first 2 days, I guess it wasn't as hard because there was still food in the refrigerator, and they were just cooking it outside in grills and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
with charcoal and all that, mesquite. After that, I remember a little bit my dad having to go like look for food like at church because that's when help started arriving.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad started going to like Our Lady of the Valley, which was a church, and my elementary school and middle school, because they set up like these things where you could go get canned food,
Mm-hmm.
get cereal.
And this is the government. Did the government kick in, or was it
I was
like
11. I don't know if it was
Okay.
the government, but
Mhm.
or the city, or just people bringing stuff that they had,
right?
or even the stores donating this
Mm.
stuff to the community.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't recall how
Mhm.
it got to the. I just remember going with my parents, just like the football field or the playground,
Mm-hmm.
and there were just boxes and boxes of cereal and cookies and anything that that we could eat.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a full meal, but it was something that we could put in our stomach for the day.
For the day, look at that.
If I really think back, maybe I think stores were donating this stuff, to
Mhm.
the schools.
Yeah,
to
it
help out
almost
the
feels like
community.
the everyone has to chip in.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit there and and try to make a buck off of everyone who's suffering or
Mhm.
whatever. And yeah, I think the government probably does a little bit more. I'm assuming California has, they should. I mean, we talk about preparation a lot, and that's actually what we're trying to work on with this next step after this project, which we built some earthquake proof buildings. They did a great job of well, I tried my best to try to shake their buildings down, right, Isabella?
Yeah.
And I couldn't. So they did a great job
Mm-hmm.
of building these models. So now the next step is preparing for, let's say, a disaster, because you never know. So what are some things like, obviously, like for example, you mentioned the documents.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping those obviously all together, right, and then probably somewhere safe. What else? What else? Like thinking back, what do you have right now, or would you recommend like families to like seriously think about like, hey, you never know. You don't want to sit there with your little ones in the middle of the street, in the middle of the night.
Well, I just feel like people have to be more organized at the time they go to sleep. Have like for example, don't just leave your sandals or your shoes just anywhere in the house. I feel like they should be left near the exit door of your house. That way,
Uh-huh.
in case of emergency, when you run out, your shoes are right there. Because I remember there was so much glass everywhere. There were neighbors that actually got cut
Cut.
because of the windows shattering.
Uh-huh.
So I think keeping your shoes by your exit, by
Wow.
the exit door of the house, is very important. Because when there's an earthquake, there is no electricity. It'll be
Mhm.
dark, pitch black,
Mm.
and knowing where you left your shoes before you go to bed, I think, is very important. Of course, everything else is important. Having some water and some cereal and some crackers and anything that could last for a few days without going bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, keep your shoes, leave your shoes in a secure spot every night. So, in case you have to run out of your house in the middle of the night,
Mm-hmm.
you have your shoes on because if it's an earthquake, there's gonna be glass everywhere
Mhm.
shattered,
And
especially.
that's what they say. That people panic. When they panic, that's when they get hurt.
Mhm.
So I can imagine someone running out. They trip. They hit their toe. Right. And the
Mhm.
shoes are obviously going to protect your feet a little better, because hospitals are not going to be
Open or
available. I
right.
mean, no one's going to come. 911's not going to come for, some
Right. If
cut
you
feet.
get stabbed with any sharp object, and there's cars all over the street, it's gonna be hard for you to get from one end to the other.
Yeah. Okay.
The
If you need to
transportation is
get,
gonna
yeah,
be,
if you need to get supplies
if-
for yourself.
and if you're bleeding pretty bad.
Mm, okay. So
Ye-
first aid kit,
Yeah.
right? Like
Mhm.
have first aid kit centralized
Mm-hmm.
where everything is. So definitely we're gonna be doing some research. All right, Isabella, we're gonna make sure shoes right by the bed is number one. All right. This is coming from an expert, someone who went through it. Right? Highly recommend that.
It's the little things that you can
That you
yes,
can or
that you actually don't think like shoes really. That's what you're
Yeah.
worried about. But when you're walking out of your house and there's glass everywhere,
uh-huh.
like objects, because everything's just gonna come down.
Uh-huh.
You're about to step on something that you don't want to step on, and now you're gonna be bleeding trying to exit your house, your
Right.
apartment. So
Yeah, especially if you're trying to help your family survive.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope I know this is going to help a lot of students and parents too. I don't know if you mind if I share this with like our parent center, and then maybe they can go ahead and say, okay, let's start sharing this information to parents,
yeah, absolutely.
because it's been over 30 years, right?
Right. It's been 30 years. Just the other day, last 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
there was an earthquake, and I work in San Fernando, and I was sitting down when it started shaking, and my reaction was, I got up and I looked at the door. I'm like, is it time to run, or is it time for me to go underneath the table?
Oh, you were ready. You were
I
like,
stood up, like,
"Yee."
I stood up and I looked at everyone. I was like,
Okay.
do we run or do we
Yeah.
go underneath the table?
So here, it's kind of weird. That day, I was talking about earthquakes,
Mm-hmm.
and in second period, kids told me. I even forgot. Because we were talking earthquakes, and I said, "Wouldn't it be weird if an earthquake hits?" And I was a little weirded out. Sixth period, we're in the middle of sixth period. Earthquake is, shaking and stuff. It hit us, but hey, it's California. Earthquakes are happening all the time. It just so happened that we felt this one.
Yeah, we
it was
felt
a
it.
little closer.
It was closer for
Yeah,
us.
but
'cause
they,
it was-
they still tell us, hey, you never know. So let's
yeah,
get
you
prepared.
never know. After it had stopped shaking, we did go outside and stayed
Uh-huh.
outside for a few minutes,
Yeah,
just kind of like make sure it wouldn't
start again.
start another one,
Yeah.
because that's what happens. I remember we came back to the valley after being in Agora Hills for a while, and it was still shaking. One morning on a Sunday, we went to church, and there was a 5.3
Really?
right as we were going inside the church, and that spooked everyone. And Mass was canceled that Sunday for the rest of the day, and it was frightening. And yeah, every time
Wow. See, I heard about the aftershocks, but not that long. So you guys being there, you felt everything. Even somebody walking by a little too fast, you probably you're like, hey, what is that, right? You get a
Absolutely,
little
till-
nervous with it.
till today,
Today? Oh yeah, same here.
you hear a big boom somewhere, you're like,
What is that?
Is it coming? Is that an earthquake? And then you're just waiting.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the key is not to panic and have your shoes right by the bed, right?
Like I've said, it's those little things that will count.
Everything, every little thing
Like-
helps.
You'll make it outside somehow, but just be prepared.
Okay, well, we got that, and I can't wait to share her project that she's done, so that you can see how she's becoming a earthquake specialist, professional. What are we? Earthquake survival preparedness specialist. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right.
thank
Well,
you
thank
for
you
having
again.
me
No,
here.
thank you, Mr. Gomez. Appreciate
If
you.
you have any more questions,
Yeah.
feel free to call me, and maybe
We'll
I
see.
could ask my parents if they have any pictures
Oh,
of what our
wow.
building looked like.
Yeah, ask them, and then
You
maybe
know.
we can share it with our preparedness
Absolutely,
program.
definitely.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
having
much.
me.
You got it.